Today I'm standing with Lila Mularczyk, President of the New South Wales Secondary Principals Council, and my colleague Geoff Scott from the New South Wales Primary Principals Association. Today we stand to condemn the Green Paper that has been released by the Sydney Morning Herald, which shows that the federal government is considering withdrawing support for public schools and putting the onus back onto the states, and indeed charging parents to send their children to public schools. It's a fundamental right of every child to have access to a free, universal and quality public school. It is the obligation of all governments, including the Commonwealth, to work together to ensure that the needs of all children are met. We believe that this announcement today is essentially an attack on the Gonski funding model, a model that was needs-based and sector-blind, that was going to target resources to where it's most needed. Already in New South Wales, we see a raft of programs in our schools that are already improving student learning outcomes. Today's announcement is a threat to that program.
It is absolutely indefensible that the federal coalition government is having discussion around ending public free education and having any discussion around SMEAN testing for public schools. They cannot relinquish responsibility to fund quality education for all children in all schools. The Federal Education Minister has already claimed he has a stronger affinity with independent schools in deference to funding education for all children in all schools across all states and territories. They do not have the right to try and walk away from the principles of Gonski. Every child, every young person in our schools has an absolute entitlement to access quality education that is resourced to the highest level, and that includes across all sectors. We call upon the Prime Minister Tony Abbott and we call upon the Federal Education Minister Pyne to honour the principles of Gonski for 6 years and beyond, because this is the investment that they must honour for every young child, for every local community, for the capacity building of society and for our nation. As a principal, I stand here aware of stories across schools across New South Wales and across Australia. I'm aware of stories in my own school that Gonski has supported, individual students where attendance is now improving, high school certificate results are increasing, unprecedented offers to university and TAFE in our school community because of the support of the Gonski funding available. We cannot let our children down now or into the future.
I support on behalf of the primary principals of New South Wales the comments that have been made by Maurie and by Lila. I think there's a sense of anger today in our primary schools in New South Wales about the comments that seem to have surfaced out of the Green Paper. It's all very well for Minister Pyne to say that that's not going to happen, but the fact remains that in that Green Paper this is canvassed as a real option. It's not an option. It's not an option that principals or parents of young Australians would canvass as being at all appropriate. The government with the highest income raising capacity, the federal government, must accept its responsibility for funding the majority of students who attend our schools across Australia, and that's in the public education system. There are a huge number of programs that have already commenced in New South Wales schools. Parents will be aware of those that are serving the students in our schools that previously received no funding, and that is coming through the Gonski funding model. There is absolutely no doubt at all that to move to a system of user pays is to abrogate the responsibility of governments for Australian education. Australia has been built on a public education system. It must remain in that capacity as the peak primary and secondary education system in our nation. Thanks.